Go to work at 8:01. Perfect. Good evening and welcome to the June 3rd, 2025 Joint Brookings County and City of Brookings Planning and Commission meeting. This meeting is being recorded, televised, and viewable on Swiftel Channel 19, ITC Channel 168, or the Brookings County YouTube channel. I now call this meeting to order. Approval of Joint Planning Commission minutes. Is there a motion on the county side?
So moved.
Motion by Vanderwall. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Vanderwall. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Is there a motion on the city side for the February 4th, 2025 minutes?
So move, Solom.
Second, Jameson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Items to be added to the commission agenda, added to the agenda by commission members or staff. County?
I have none.
City? City has none. Invitation for citizens to schedule a time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Nobody? Disclosure of conflicts of interest, relationships to applicant or ex parte communication. County side? Seeing none. On the county side, approval of agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kleinjohn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Paulson. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Approval of agenda on the city side.
So moved. Aiken.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
The Joint County and City Planning Commission. The Planning Commission of the County of Brookings and the City of Brookings consists of both the Brookings County Planning Commission and the City of Brookings Planning Commission members. The concurring vote of a simple majority of those Joint Planning Commission board members present and voting is required to forward a recommendation to the Brookings County Commission and the Brookings County City Council for the final decision of the rezoning request. Agenda item 2025 JJRZ002. Richard L. and Donna Rudebush have made an application 2025 JJRZ002 to the Brookings County Planning Commission for property to be rezoned from joint jurisdiction agricultural district to joint jurisdiction residence R-1A single family district. The property is described as the east 1 acre of Rudebush Addition, easterly 2 acres of Lot 1 in the northeast 1/4 of Section 4, Township 109 North, Range 50W, Meridary Township. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kyle Vanderwall. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Derek Kleinjohn. Richard, would you read staff report? Oh, city side, sorry.
Motion on the city side. Second.
Second.
Thank you.
Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2025 JJRZ002, Richard L. and Donna Rudebush have applied for rezoning of the east 1 acre of Rudebush Addition, easterly 2 acres of Lot 1 in the northeast 1/4 of Section 4, Township 109 North, Range 50 West, Meridary Township, located in the Brookings City, Brookings County joint jurisdictional area, from a joint jurisdiction agricultural to a joint jurisdiction R1A single-family district. The property is located west of the intersection of West 20th Street South and West 16th Avenue South. Lot 1 of Rudebush Addition was platted on October 24th, 1989, and the easterly 2 acres of Lot 1 was deeded off on November 8th, 1989, as there was a mobile home on the property at that time, which was a non-conforming use. The mobile home was removed and the property became a non-buildable lot for a residence in the agricultural district, as it is a non-conforming use. The property is in the floodplain and would need to follow the City of Brookings floodplain ordinance for building in the floodplain if the rezoning request is approved. The current owner has a purchase agreement for the above described real property, provided this rezoning request is approved. The Brookings County Development Office has reviewed the rezoning request and has no objections to the request, providing it meets the requirements of the Brookings Community Development Office. Brookings City Planner Ryan Miller, which in his report is included in here at the end of this. The rezoning request will be heard by a joint meeting of the Brookings County Planning Zoning Commission and the City of Brookings Planning Commission, as it is in the joint jurisdictional area. The decision made by the Joint Planning Commission is a recommendation to the Brookings County Commission and the Brookings City Council for their final decision of the rezoning request. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on May 20th and 27th, 2025, and the applicant notified the abutting landowners by certified mail of the proposed rezoning request at least 14 days prior to the public hearing. And letters were sent to the Medarie and Brookings Township Chairman and Clerk and the Brookings County Highway Department. Here's the applicant's rezoning petition. This is a plat of the property. This is Lot 1, and this is the easterly 2 acres right here. That was deeded off. This is a beacon map showing the property. This is subject to, this is the 2 acres. This is the easterly 2 acres approximately where the hash mark is there. The red area denotes the floodplain, as it is all there. This is just some photos of the area. Whoop. This is just looking west from the driveway along 20th Street South, otherwise known as 214th Street. This is the driveway looking towards the south. This is looking from the driveway looking towards the east on 20th Street. This is the east property line where this fence is right here. This is just looking from that east property line back to the southwest, towards the southwest across the property. This is along the front of the property, along the road. This is approximate, really hard to tell where that boundary, where that east 1 acre would be, but I'm approximately right in this area just by counting the fence posts that they had put in. So, and this is just looking back towards the southeast from the driveway there. And that's all that I have, and I have Ryan Miller's report. So Ryan?
Thanks, Rich. Could you just scroll down to the maps, please? I think it's the...
Okay.
There we go. So as Rich mentioned, this area is within the revised floodplain area. This is the revised floodplain map showing the area of the rezone in the red outlined box. It is entirely within the floodplain area. The City of Brookings Comprehensive Plan does discuss the floodplain extensively and the need to protect the areas within the floodplain from development that could have negative impacts on our floodplain. Therefore, our future land use map, if you scroll on to the next one, does show this area. Our future land use map, adopted with that 2040 comprehensive plan, identifies areas within the joint jurisdiction area for low, medium, high-density development types of various types. We also do have an open space floodland future land use category, which does cover the extent of the floodplain. So the open space floodplain future land use category would not support any sort of rezone out of the current ag district. Can continue scrolling down here. It's just a location map of the rezone area. And the last one at the very end here, our zoning map showing the current zoning districts in place, and it is entirely surrounded by ag districts. And that ends the city staff report.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Would you come forward for questions from the board at this time? As you approach, clearly state your name into the mic, please. Make sure the green light's on.
Thomas Chandler. I'm here on behalf of Rick and Donna Rudebush.
Are there any questions from the county side at this time?
Question from City Board.
You can go back to your seat for a second. We'll open the public hearing now. Seeing no questions from board at this time, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public hearing portion. Move back to the board for additional comments or questions. Are there any additional comments or questions on the county side?
City Board?
Want to go first or we go first?
You can go first.
Call your vote first and we'll do ours after you.
Ryan, call the vote, please.
Limmer,
No.
Jameson,
Yes.
Spear,
No.
Heinrich,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Solom,
No.
Aiken,
No.
Letty.
No.
Motion fails.
Richard, will you call roll on the county side?
Yes, Commissioner Kelly Vanderwall,
No.
Paulson,
No.
Klein John,
No.
Kyle Vanderwall.
No.
Mark Joinby. No. Justin DeGroot. No. Randy Jensen. No. And Ford.
No.
Motion fails. This is a recommendation onto the city council and the county commissioners. It'll be published in the paper. The next meeting for that would be on July 8th is when the public hearing tentatively set for right now. It'd be July 8th at 5:30 PM for the consideration by the city council and the county commission on this rezoning request.
Thank you, Richard. Is there a motion to adjourn on the county side?
So moved.
Motion by Kyle Vanderwall, second.
Second.
Second by Paulson, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned on the county side.
Meeting to adjourn on the city side.
Move to adjourn. Second, Jameson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks. Thanks, Rick.
We'll be in a county planning and zoning commission meeting in 1 minute. Good evening and welcome to the June 3rd, 2025 Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. This meeting is being recorded, televised, and viewable on Swiftel Channel 19, ITC Channel 168, or the Brookings County YouTube channel. I now call this meeting to order. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion? Motion by Jensen, second. Second by Kyle Vanderwall. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Items to be added to the agenda by commission members or staff.
Just our regular staff report, sir.
Invitation for citizens to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Seeing none. Disclosure of conflicts of interest to the relationship to the applicant or ex parte communication. I will have to recuse myself from Plat 2025, Plat 012. Any others? Approval of agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved, Paulson.
Olson, second. Second by Jensen. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We will now convene as the Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission. The Brookings County Planning Commission is a 9-member commission whose function is to recommend approval or disapproval of land use plans, zoning ordinances, subdivision plats, and amendments thereof to the Brookings County Commission. The commission makes its recommendation based on upon the adopted comprehensive plan for the physical development of the unincorporated areas of Brookings County. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. After a motion is moved and seconded, it is open for debate. Those supporting the motion shall in turn give their reasons. Those opposing the motion shall then offer their reasons. After everyone has been given a chance to be heard, the commission shall recommend approval or disapproval based on the testimony and information presented. A simple majority vote of a quorum of members of the Planning and Zoning Board in attendance is required to forward a recommendation. Moving on, agenda item 2025 RZ001. John and Joy Mills have made an application 2025 RZ001 to the Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission for property to be rezoned from NR Natural Resource Districts, Article 4, Chapter 4.04 to LP Lake Park Districts, Article 4, Chapter 4.03. The property is described as the northeast 1/4, the northeast 1/4 and government lots 3 and 4, excluding Lot 1, Block 1, and Lot 1, Block 2, East Goldsmith subdivision, and excluding Block 1 Rose Addition and excluding Block 1 Van Kooten Family Farm Edition in Section 9, Township 110 North, Range 51W of the 5th Primary in Brookings County, South Dakota, Volga Township. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kyle Vanderwall, second.
Second.
Second by Darrell Kleinjohn. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2025 RZ 001, John and Mills and Joy E. Mills have applied for rezoning from a natural resource district to a lake park zoning district with 3 size options that the board might choose one option area to be rezoned. Option 1 is 1.2 acres, which is approximately 175 feet by 300 feet. Option 2 is 6.5 acres, and option 3 is 8.7 acres. The applicant owns the property in Volga Township adjacent to Lake Goldsmith and wishes to use it for a seasonal camping spot for his family. Lake Goldsmith is located 1 mile north and 1 mile west of the city of Volga in sections 9 and 16 in Volga Township. It is considered a meandering lake by the South Dakota Game Fish and Parks. The Natural Resource Zoning District was established in 1976 when the Brookings County Zoning Ordinance and the Comprehensive Plan were adopted by the Brookings County Commission. Brookings County Zoning Ordinance and Article 4, District Requirements, Chapter 4.04, Natural Resource District, Section 4.0401, the purpose. Natural Resource District is to provide for the retaining of natural vegetation of a particular area to preserve the natural environment and resources from destructive land uses and to protect wildlife habitat. Such an area may include, but is not limited to, floodplains of rivers, streams, lakes, abandoned quarries, certain wetlands, natural prairies, and historical sites. Areas contained in the NR Natural Resource District. Number 1, all lands totally or partially owned by the state or federal government as wildlife production or public shooting areas. Second one is all land unless otherwise noted within 300 feet of the original government surveyed meander line of bodies of water, including Appendix A. Number 3 is excludes all rivers and tributaries. Number 4, any area specifically zoned natural resources by the county. Lake Sinai, Lake Oakwood, Oak Lake, and Goldsmith are designated natural resource zoned areas. The 2016 Comprehensive Plan Land Use Plan for Brookings County on page 54 lists floodplain, shallow aquifer, soils, natural resources, and pipeline as areas of development limitation and development constraints in the unincorporated areas of the county. Brookings County Zoning Ordinance, Article 4, District Requirements, Chapter 4.03 for the LP Lake Park District. Minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet with setbacks of 75 feet from the highest known water elevation, 8 feet from the side property line, and 25 feet from the road. Permitted uses and conditional uses in the Lake Park District allow for smaller lots and higher density. Lake Goldsmith is in Zone B of the Aquifer Materials Map, and other portions of the lake and tributaries are in the floodplain. The decision made by the Planning Commission is a recommendation to the Brookings County Commission for the rezoning request. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on May 20th and 27th, 2025, and the Volga Tribune on May 22nd and 29th, 2025. The applicant notified the abutting landowners by certified mail of the rezoning request at least 10 days prior of the public hearing. And letters were sent to the Volga Township Chairman and Clerk. This is the applicant's rezoning petition. This is his options. This is option 1, this hash marked area right here, 175 by 300, 1.2 acres. And option 2, which still is in the natural resource, the green area around here is a 300-foot area that is natural resources. Everything outside of that is zoned agricultural. So this option 2 would be to rezone the natural resource area, about 6.5 acres. And option 3 would be the natural resource area plus a little bit of the ag, if that would go through, was 8.7 acres. This is just showing the zoning districts and the flood map. The red area is the floodplain right in this area. This red area overlaps the natural resources. Another floodplain area is right here. The one right there. This is just the history of how the Natural Resource District came about through our consultant, First District Association of Local Governments. That was prepared for our office in September of 2013. Just goes over the history of the documentation of when it was first founded and how it's continued thereon ever since. With the included maps here. And just some pictures of the area. This is looking north down 463rd Avenue from the driveway there. This is looking west down the driveway from 463rd down to the driveway going to the west end of the property. This is looking south from the driveway on 463rd. This is just looking south, southwest as you meander down the driveway from the on 463rd by the road. This is just meandering down the driveway before you go up the hill as you're heading west. And this one is looking west as you get over the crest of the hill, looking down towards the rest of the west end of the property there. This is still just looking west from the driveway. This is as you're down towards it, this is the turnaround area. This would be the area that would, proposed areas to be rezoned there. This is culvert that was put in when they made the driveway for water from the north side to flow through down to the lake. It's just at the end of the turnaround area, and this is just looking off to the northwest at the end of the turnaround. This is the wheel is at the edge of the water. I measured back 300 feet. This is my starting point, measuring back for the 300-foot setbacks from the edge of the water line, and this is where 300 feet came. It's just not quite to the north end of the new driveway that was built in there. Where the wheel is at 300 feet. This is just looking at the 300-foot mark towards the west. From there, this is looking from the north, looking south, where the 300 mark is. This is just looking to the south of the turnaround there, where the driveway is, the southwest area that would he was looking to rezone there. This is looking west of the turnabout. This is looking west, northwest, and then this is looking towards the north from the driveway. And that's all I have. The applicant is here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. Would the applicant please step forward, clear your name into the mic for questions from the board before we open the public hearing?
Good evening, I'm John Mills, and I'm here with my wife, Joy. Do you want us to go back then?
Just hold on here for a second. Can you go back to them districts there with the outline map of the natural resource area there, Richard?
Like that?
Yep. So on this one here, that block from the X up, option 3, I believe was what you had.
Or do you want that site map?
Well, this one here shows the natural resources deal. You could put a camper in that block without anything being rezoned. Are you aware of that?
We could put a camper north of the driveway.
The cursor is.
Up there where the cursor is, yes,
Just not in the highlighted area.
correct.
I mean, you're aware that
I am,
nothing has to be done and you can do that.
right.
Are there any other questions from the board?
The challenge, may I speak to that
Yep.
question? The challenge with that is that it's just too far from the lake if you're trying to monitor grandkids. You know, you just can't be that far away. And we've got small grandchildren we're hoping to share the lake with, and they need a bathroom and some supervision and somebody to jump in the water if they're having trouble. So we need to be closer.
I understand. Are there any other questions for members of the board at this time?
Are you planning on putting a septic system in out there?
Not immediately. I mean, it might, if we get this approval, that would be allowable. And maybe it's allowable even without, I don't know. But that would be a likely thing down the road.
Do you have utilities out there right now?
No. The only thing we did was we put in the driveway last fall because that, that peninsula, that it's grassed, it's never been farmed. It's the best place to access the lake because it's got a nice beach. And we've been unable to get to it because we lease out the farm ground and we can't get there during the time of year when you want to use the lake. And so we put the driveway in last fall so at least we can get to that grassy area. Did that answer your question?
Are there any other questions from members of the board at this time? Seeing none, you can go back to your seat for a minute and I'll move to the public hearing portion. I'll now open the public hearing portion since I'm assuming the majority of the crowd is here on this measure. What do you think, 3 minutes? I'll limit each person's testimony to 3 minutes. That way we're not here all night. Is that fair? And we'll go with that. So that being said, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak as a proponent of this? Come up, clearly state your name, say why you're for it.
It's about one page, so it would be less than 3 minutes. So, good evening. My name is Andy Johnson, and I am here to speak in favor of the rezoning request. The letter that went out to the neighbors mentioned family and camping, and that kind of is me. I'm part of that family that has a camper. It was back in 2019 we bought a camper. My family and I have used that around this eastern South Dakota area quite a while. We've bought a little bit bigger camper as our kids have gotten a bit bigger. And it's been something that we've really enjoyed. We've been able to camp with our family, John and Joy, on a number of different occasions at places around. For us personally, the camping is getting a little bit tougher as it takes more time to get around all the different areas. It takes time to hook up, and our kids are getting more busy, involved in a lot of different activities. And so for us, this location at Goldsmith was something we were really excited about because it's close enough that we can run back and forth to town if we need to. We have the ability to leave our camper out on the property for a weekend or whatnot if we need. So, you know, the rezoning request is really an extension of that camping pastime. It allows us, like I said, a number of different benefits of leaving the camper set up, getting back and forth through the activities. But the challenge that we have while camping at Goldsmith, if we were to be out there, is really to enjoy the benefits of what the property has on the lake. That proximity to the water is important. My daughter joined me tonight. She's one of the people that I'd like to be able to have swimming in the lake. But if you took a look at the pictures that were up there from the top of the road, you know, if we park our camper up there, you can't see the water. And so it really limits the ability to utilize that property in a way that I think would be beneficial and comparable to what other, you know, campgrounds and things that we've been at would be. You know, my hope is to be able to place the camper out there, watch the kids fish, swim, leave it out there for a weekend or two, pull it back to our house. We live in Brookings, so we park it there. I don't, from what I envision, I don't see anything more detrimental to the area than, you know, farming up to the 35 feet or whatnot. So that would be my hope in the rezoning request, is to be able to utilize the property there, continue some of the family camping that we've been able to do. So.
Thank you.
You bet.
Is there anybody else that is for this? Anybody else? Sorry.
May I speak as a proponent as
Yeah.
well? Thank you again. It's John Mills. I just wanted to have an opportunity to talk as a proponent beyond just answering those initial questions. And I hope you have more questions because I think some conversation would be good. With your permission, Mr. Chair, I'd like to hand something out. There were a lot of things in your packet, but one thing was missing, and that, do I have your permission? Yes, go ahead. This is the letter that went out to the neighbors. I just thought it'd be good if you had that in front of you to read, so you could see what they received. And it does really outline our goals for this property and the reasons for the request. I had come in initially asking the question, and Mr. Haugen can verify this, can we place our camper out there? And he said yes, as long as you stay back 300 feet. And then I asked him, is there once I knew that, I said, well, is there an opportunity for a conditional use? Sometimes a planning commission will provide a conditional use that they know is just specific to one person, because this is really just intended for my family. And he said, no, that's not an option, that rezoning was the only choice we had. And so that's why we're here tonight. And the reason I brought 3 proposals in is I just thought you should have some choices. The smallest one will do for us, because like I say, this is really just for ourselves. I would also say that I wasn't aware until actually just about an hour before our meeting that some letters had been sent in opposing this, and that I'm sure people will get up to speak. And I understand their concerns. We did try a larger rezoning about 10 years ago, and that was denied. People were nervous about the size and the scale of that, and I want to respect that. And so what we've come in tonight with is just the very smallest for just my family. And I would pledge to you that I won't be back to ask for anything different if we're granted this request. And I would just say that anybody who looked at this land would say that its highest and best use, what it's best suited for, is lake access. And so to me, as the landowner, it's only reasonable that I should be granted lake access. And I would argue to you that restricting me to staying back 300 feet makes that access not usable for my family. I can't have my grandkids out there and watch them from 300 feet away. And the women and the children need a bathroom. I might be okay going behind a tree, but that doesn't work for everybody. And I'd like to be able to go out there and picnic and spend an afternoon, not just an hour, and enjoy that with my family. And that seems like a reasonable request from a landowner. And so it's a 46-acre piece of land. I'm asking for my family to use that one piece. And so I would ask that for your favorable consideration tonight. And I apologize for my voice. I'm kind of losing it, but thank you for your attentiveness. And if you have questions, I'm here.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that is for this? Seeing none. Richard, do you want to start with the letters, or do you want to start with public testimony?
I'll read the letter we did receive.
We'll move to the opposing side and sign in. We'll go to the letters first, and then we'll go to actual testimony.
The other letters were posted in online. This letter was received past the deadline and was received this morning, so I'll read this that we received via email this morning. It says, "Good morning, Robert. In a letter to the zoning board, I was returned to me today, unable to forward stamp on it. I'm hoping my email reaches you before tonight. I'm writing to oppose the John and Joy Mills development by Lake Goldsmith. The development they want affects not just everyone in our county's community with traffic and hazards, but concerns for lake traffic and accidents. I would love to say that it is believed that the driveway that was built on the ground is for a camper to be pulled on a couple times a year, but my belief, by the size of the equipment and how long it took, is that if this passes, we will not just have 1 or 2 campers out there with family in it. We will have spots and people there just to camp and have parties. I do feel there is a hidden agenda to this application. Thank you, Jason and Delana Van Kooten."
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak against this? Make sure you clearly state your name into the mic.
Okay. Thank you, Board. My name is Todd Rose, and we live adjacent to the land being proposed for rezoning. Our house is in the sight line of the pictures that were shown, especially the last picture you could see in the background there. I've sent a letter in timeline of past proposals, and just want to let you know that we're in opposition. Thought of a couple other things as as was being discussed tonight, that we've raised, we're 300 feet back because we had asked to rezone, and that was rejected quite a while ago. So we've raised 2 kids there, 300 feet away, without a problem, and actually that's all worked very well. And the other thing is, if it does rezone, it doesn't necessarily stay with that family. So whatever happens, if it was rezoned, it doesn't mean it stays, and it just stays as that small little portion. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else opposed to this that would like to speak?
Hi,
Clearly state
Council.
your name in the mic.
My name is Chris Thompson, and I live on the south side of Lake Goldsmith, on the south side of the road. I understand what they're asking for. I also understand that they're in the same predicament as everybody else, but we all had to adhere to that. We live there with 7 grandchildren under the age of 10, and we don't have the luxury of being right on the lake. We do what everybody else does, and that is you take your lawn chairs and you go sit with those kids right on the lake. They do have the option of camping by that lake. It's just 300 feet back, like everyone else. So again, we have all these grandchildren as well, and we go sit with them right by the water in a lawn chair, and we don't have that access that they're asking for. So, and I agree, that land, if it was to be rezoned, may not stay in the Mills family, and then it's an open ball game for anybody. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that's opposed to this that would like to speak?
Thank you for allowing me to voice my concern to this commission. My name is Kathy Halens, and my husband and I, Bill, have property on the north side of Lake Goldsmith, and I'm just here to state that we strongly oppose the application to have this land rezoned. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
Jesse Jensen, north side of Lake Goldsmith. I oppose this zoning.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
My name is Sheldon Thompson. I live on the south side of Lake Goldsmith. Chris is my wife, and as she stated, we live south side of the lake, on the south side of the road, and we are currently in the process of building a new house just to the east there, and we would like to be closer to the lake, but we understand that rules and regulations are in place for a reason, and we are willing to abide by those rules, and we would hope that everybody else would be held to that same standard. We have 7 grandkids, like Chris said. They love being down by the lake, and we go down there with them, and that's where we watch them. We don't watch them from 300 feet away. We go with them, and everything seems to work out just fine. And we are strongly opposed to their initiative, and I appreciate the time that you've given me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak opposing this?
My name is Irene Olson. My husband and I oppose this. we are afraid with campers come the four-wheelers and ATVs that race around the lake already, and that will add more traffic. And we just can't see having campers around there.
Is there anybody else that would like to oppose this? Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing portion of this. I'll move back to the board for additional comments or questions. The first question I'm going to have is for Luke. Is there anything about this in our 2016 land use plan?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Luke Muller, First District Association of Local Governments. I was involved in the update, as you know, to the land use plan back in 2016 in that process. For those of you that are familiar with me, you know that it's my job in many cases to talk about options for rules, and then once you decide, I have to talk you out of them or have a discussion about it so that I can understand what you were getting at. So I remember some of these policies pretty well. On page 44, your land use plan, there's some, or sorry, 43 of the land use plan, there are some policies involving development in development limitation areas. One specific policy referencing natural resource areas says those areas identified as floodplain, groundwater aquifer, natural resource, which is what we're talking about here, shall be managed in such a way as to prevent premature development of other land uses. One other policy says in situations where permission is needed and the situation warrants an evaluation, the county will rely on both technical sources and public input in making decisions. The other point, and I remember this one quite specifically on page 44 that was brought in, and it's a policy on residential development, which even though this is a limited scope, it does qualify as change to residential development going to Lake Park because it could change ownership there. It is to discourage the rezoning of property to Lake Park District unless the following general design criteria are met, and that's also on page 44. It says connection to an approved sanitary sewer treatment facility, connection to an approved public water supply. The development and maintenance of interior streets should be the responsibility of the developer of homeowners associations, direct access to the development to a federal and state highway. Many of these things were stated in previous requests to rezone that were at a much larger scope. In this particular case, there are a couple other points there as well. Most specifically, though, is in reference to the future land use section on page 58 of the land use plan, where it references developed lakes of the future land, developed lakes future land use. In paragraph 2, in the middle of it, it says, despite the small portions of Oak Lake and Lake Goldsmith being zoned for Lake Park, parenthetically residential development, it has been and continues to be contradictory to the goals of this and past Brookings County land use plans dating back to 1972 to allow expansion of moderate to high density residential development without the establishment of public quasi-public sanitary sewer collection systems operated and paid for exclusively by the residents utilizing it. For that reason, any action which would remove the zoning designation of natural resources district from any property already so designated is discouraged. Those are the four specific locations where this would probably come up against something that was updated in 2016, but probably the only specific language to this that was really carried on above and beyond was that last paragraph, and I specifically remember that conversation at a public hearing before that was adopted, for what it's worth. So some of those just to update because I knew where those sections were.
Thank you, Luke. Are there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, is there findings of facts on this? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you call the vote?
Mr. Chair, point of order. I don't know that we even have a motion, do we?
Fair assessment.
Okay, before you make any motion, if it's okay, I want, before that motion is made, either one, you want to make a general motion for an area that could be subdivided and specified in the future, or have further discussion. If somebody says this one spot is the only one that makes any sense to do it, like in his requests, it would be helpful to make that specific note. It is my opinion, this request is unorthodox, but it makes perfect sense given the history of it, where you would bring it in with a few options. I think that makes sense because it doesn't make any sense for Mr. Mills to go out and plat a property betting that you'll rezone it. So it does make sense to go ahead and make it this way, but it would be helpful if you picked an option. If you're in favorable to one, if you're not favorable to one, you can make a general motion to
no.
approve property subject to platting.
How do you suggest I do that? Do I ask to just take a vote for which option somebody would think the best and the most votes for one option wins? Or how do you want me to ask that?
You could have discussion about it, or go ahead and ask if someone wants to make a motion for option 1 or option 2, or just any property in general.
Is there anybody that would like to make a motion for a specific option?
I'll make a motion for option 1.
Motion by Jensen for option 1. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Darrell Kleinjohn. Is there any discussion on option 1?
Scroll back up to option 1 just so you can see it.
Option 1 would be the 175 by 300, 1.2 acres, just in the natural resource area.
Is there any other questions about option 1? So would that be the only part going? Just that would all be the only like part?
Yeah, this would be, they would have to plat this out if it's approved.
Okay.
This would be 1.2 acres. Would be the only part that would be rezoned if it's approved.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the board? Well, this is the one that they want to go with, so we'll see where it goes with this one. And
Mr. Chair, should one point that should probably be clarified, and maybe that was what Richard was asking, does a no vote, a yes vote would clearly go for option 1. It should be specified whether or not a no vote is for all 3 options or just for that option. My recommendation, well, it's really up to you guys, but it should be clarified.
so should we vote on all 3 options as a whole board, you think? If option 1 passes, we just go with it?
Yeah,
And if it doesn't, we can vote on option 2 and option 3?
that would likely make the most sense.
That sounds like a
I
great,
don't want you to be in a position where you didn't act on something and that then gets forwarded on without action.
that's a fair assessment. So we have a motion and a second for option 1. So Richard, would you call a vote on option 1?
Kelly Vanderwall.
No.
Oh, excuse me, Kelly Vanderwall.
No.
Paulson.
No.
Kleinjohn.
No.
Kyle Vanderwall.
No.
Mark Joinby.
No.
Justin DeGroot,
No.
Randy Jensen,
Yes.
and Chad Ford.
No.
Option 1 fails.
Is there a motion for option 2?
So moved.
Motion by Kyle Vanderwall. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on option 2?
Can we scroll to the picture of option 2, Richard?
This would be the hashed area for option 2, 6.5 acres.
Richard, would you call the vote on option 2?
Paulson,
No.
Kleinjohn,
No.
Kyle Vanderwall,
No.
Mark Joinby,
No.
Justin DeGroot,
No.
Randy Jensen,
No.
Commissioner Vanderwall,
No.
and Ford.
No.
Motion fails.
Is there a motion for option 3?
So moved.
Motion by Justin DeGroat. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mark Jornby. Is there any questions or comments or discussion on option 3?
Can you break down option 3, Richard?
Yes, option 3 would be this hashed mark area.
Seeing none, Richard, would you call the vote?
Kleinjohn,
No.
Kyle Vanderwall,
No.
Mark Joinby,
No.
Justin DeGroot,
No.
Randy Jensen,
No.
Commissioner Vanderwall,
No.
Tim Paulson,
No.
and Ford.
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you, Richard. Moving on, agenda item,
Oh, you need, are we done on the main motion?
well, we're done on, we should be done on all of it, right?
Is there the main motion on the floor yet?
No, those were each individual recommendations,
Okay.
all involving the application.
Okay, so that's,
You may want to have a conversation with Dan as to how to handle the motions at the public hearing and action of the county commission.
this will go on to the county commission for their consideration. Let me get the timeline here. I believe that will be July 1st. With the time to be determined later on there.
That being said, moving on, agenda item 2025, Plat 012, Plat of Foster Edition in the northwest 1/4 of Section 27, Township 111 North, Range 49W of the 5th Primary Meridian, Brookings, South Dakota.
Do we have a motion for the plot?
So moved.
Go ahead. Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
You go over the staff report.
Yes. 2025 Plat 012, Michael Foster is platting off 59.5 acres of pasture from the farm ground of the 139.2 acres in Section 27, Township 111 North, Range 49 West of the 5th prime meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. And it does meet the plating requirements of the comprehensive plan found on page 24 for the agricultural land use. Here's a proposed plat. This is the pasture area. Here is the plat on the beacon map. Just follows around the farm ground and the pasture there. So this is what it is, the shape of the parcel there. Follows the creek and edge of the pasture and the farm ground. This is the whole parcel as it is. And that's all that I have, and the applicant is not here this evening.
Okay, we will open the public hearing. Is there anyone that is for this? Hearing none, anyone that is opposed to this? We will close the public hearing. Any additional comments or questions from the board? Okay, you can call the vote.
Kyle Vanderwall.
Aye.
Mark Joinby.
Aye.
Justin DeGroot.
Aye.
Randy Jensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderwall.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
And Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Heck of a break. Moving on to agenda item plat 2025, plat 013, plat of Cook Edition in the county of Brookings, South Dakota, located at the southwest 1/4 of section 33, township 111 north, range 47W of the 5th prime meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kyle Vanderwall.
Second.
Second by Paulson. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2025-013, Joel and Leslie Cook have submitted a plat, and they will plat off a 10-acre building site from the 160 acres they own in Richland Township. The building site consists of a mature shelter belt, Quonset, and pole barn. The house was removed in 1991. The plat does meet the platting requirements of the comprehensive plan found on page 24 for the agricultural land use. This is a proposed plat. Irregular in shape there, being the reason for the platting. Here is the plat on the beacon map. Two existing buildings in the shelter belt there. And the road going to the east of there had been vacated, and they went back and unvacated that portion up to the driveway so they can have access to that. So it was vacated down to the road, and the township unvacated it back so they could have access, but the rest of the road going east from their driveway is still a vacated road. So just making a note of that. It's the only thing unique or particular with this particular one. So, and the applicant is not here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. Since the applicant isn't here, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Is anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing none, Richard, would you call the vote?
Jornby.
Aye.
DeGroot.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderwall.
Yes.
Paulson.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Kyle Vanderwall.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on, agenda item 2025, plat 015, plat of Lot 31 of Turtle Bay Addition located in the south one-half of Government Lot 1 of the northeast one-fourth of Section 29, Township 109, North Range 50W of the 5th primary and in a portion of the northeast one-fourth of the southeast one-fourth of Section 29, Township 109, North Range 50W, all of the 5th primary and a portion of Government Lot 2 in the southwest one-fourth of Section 28, Township 109, North.
14.
Or did I skip one? Hey, look at that. We'll back this up again here. I had it stuck together. Agenda item 2025, plat 014, plat of lots 4A and 4B, block 1 in Lake Park, second edition in the east one-half of the northeast one-fourth and Government Lot 7, all in Section 28, Township 109, North Range 50W of the 5th primary in Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Jornby. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Vanderwall. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2025 Plat 014, Dan Park is subdividing Lot 4 into Lots 4A and 4B, each for a townhome. Lot 4A contains 36,956 square feet, and Lot 4B contains 22,829 square feet. Both lots exceed the 20,000 square foot Lake Park requirement, and Mr. Park was granted a Lake Park conditional use 24 CU004 for a twin home on August 6, 2025 for construction of the twin home, and is nearing completion, and this is subdividing the lot for each home. And the plat does meet the requirements of the Brookings County subdivision, the Lake Park zoning ordinance, and the 2016 comprehensive plan for the developed lakes and existing land use. This is the plat showing 4A with the 36,000+ square feet and 4B with the 22,800 square feet. Here's the plat on the beacon map. It shows one large lot. Now it's just divided into two for the twin home. Here's the beacon map just showing one large lot the way it is now. And that's all that I have, and the applicant is not here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. If the applicant is not here, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Is anybody in the audience is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is anybody in the audience is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, we'll now close the public hearing portion. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Richard, would you call the vote?
Yes, DeGroot.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderwall.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Kyle Vanderwall.
Aye.
Jornby.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Try this again here now. Agenda item 2025, plat 015, plat of lot 31 of Turtle Bay Addition located in the south one-half of Government Lot 1 in the northeast one-fourth of Section 29, Township 109, North Range 50W of 5th primary and in a portion of the northeast one-fourth of the southeast one-fourth of Section 29, Township 109, North Range 50W of the 5th primary and in a portion of Government Lot 2 in the southwest one-fourth of Section 28, Township 109, Range 50W of 5th primary and all in Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So,
Motion by Jensen, second.
second.
Second by Kyle Vanderwall. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2025 Plat 015, Tim Hogan has submitted a plat for Lot 31 in Turtle Bay Addition on the west side of Lake Campbell. The preliminary plat was approved on June 6, 2024, and the plat meets the requirements of the Brookings County subdivision ordinance, the Lake Park zoning ordinance, and the 2016 comprehensive plan for developed lakes existing land use on page 11. Here is Lot 31. Here's just Lot 31 on the beacon map. It's just the beacon map showing without the lots, one large parcel with the service road going through there. And that's all that I have. And the applicant is not here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. Since the applicant is not here, we'll move the public hearing portion. Is anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, we will now close the public hearing portion. Are there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you call the vote?
Jensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderwall.
Yes.
Paulson.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Kyle Vanderwall.
Aye.
Mark Jornby.
Aye.
Justin DeGroot.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
We will now convene as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment is a 9-member board which has the power to hear requests for variances, conditional use, and appeals from non-ministerial decisions of the zoning officer. The concurring vote of 2/3 of the full board membership of the board, 6 votes, is necessary for approval of a variance or an appeal of the zoning officer. The concurring vote of a simple majority of those board members present and voting is necessary for approval of a conditional use permit. In accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, we require a motion to approve a request before it can be debated. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. The board, under specific powers granted to it by the state, shall authorize variances from zoning requirements where special conditions existing on the land will result in an unnecessary hardship for the applicant. Financial disadvantage to the property owner shall not constitute proof of an unnecessary hardship. Moving on, agenda item 2025 CU 005. Teresa Holloman has made an application 2025 CU 005 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a conditional use permit, Article 4, District Requirements, Chapter 4.01A, Agricultural Land District, Section 4.01.04, Conditional Uses Number 9, Extended Home Occupation. The property is described as the south one half of the south one half of the northeast 1/4, excluding the west 2,000 feet in Section 2, Township 109, North Range 49W, Trenton Township, located at 21437 477th Avenue, Aurora, South Dakota 57002. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Paulson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kleinjohn. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2025 CU 005, Teresa Holloman has applied for a Chapter 4.01A Agricultural District. Conditional use number 9, extended home occupation for an event center. Her residence is located at on 477th Avenue, which is a Trenton Township gravel road, 2.5 miles south of US 14 or 2.5 miles north of South Dakota Highway 324. She was approved for conditional use 23 CU 004 for an extended home business for a small children's boutique business on March 7th, 2023. And she is closing her current extended home business and would like to change it to an extended home occupation for an event center. The event center would have a maximum occupancy of 99 people at the applicant's request. The current building would be remodeled to include an event area, kitchen to prepare and serve food, eating area, bar and lounge to serve beer and wine. Bathrooms are already in the building. The applicant will need the appropriate license from the South Dakota Department of Health for the food preparation and serving, an approval from the Brookings County Commission, and the license from the South Dakota Department of Revenue to serve beer and wine. A link would be added between the existing buildings to the north, and this would be used as a waiting area. Parking would be done by valet parking attendants in the designated parking areas to the south of the house or east of the event center. The driveway and area in front of the event buildings are cemented. A cement patio area would be added around the outside of the buildings. Security would also be provided for the events. The applicant would need a road agreement with Trenton Township officials for her extended home occupation for the event center. The board would need to consider, does this meet the requirements in the Brookings County zoning ordinance, Article 5 under the general requirements, Chapter 5.24, extended home occupations, found on Article 5, page 32. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on May 20th and 27th, 2025, and letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, Trenton Township Chairman and Clerk. Here's the applicant's conditional use permit request. This is her site plan. This is the driveway out here. It's a gated, she has a gated driveway. This is the driveway comes up, goes to her house. This is where the parking would be on the south side of her house for valet parking down here. The overflow would be up, you'll see it in my photos that I took. Overflow would be up this way between the row of trees up there. Now this is her main driveway coming up to her main building, and this is, there would link be added between the two buildings if approved for this area to be remodeled into a waiting area for her clients. This is her business plan. This is a beacon map showing her property. This is the driveway, 477th Avenue here, the cement driveway coming up to the house and then to the two buildings. This would be, this is where the valet parking would be along this area on the south side, and this would be the overrun would be up in this area right here. And there would be a link between these two buildings. If approved, she would, in time, or put a link between there so they would have access from the main building to the other one. The north building is currently just cold storage, so it takes some remodeling and updating for that use. Just photos of the area. Just from the driveway looking north on 477th Avenue, a nice clear view going that way to the north. This is looking towards the west, down the driveway towards the her existing buildings, the ones she uses for the children's boutique, and this would be the event center right there. This is looking south, a nice clear view there. This is that parking area on the south side of her property, south of her house. Fairly wide. It's also used for access between her and, they have an agreement, and the adjoining, the neighbor that rents the property back there for his access also. This is just looking up the driveway towards the house. This is looking up the driveway towards the two proposed buildings. The big one on the left would be the event center, and the one on the right would be a waiting area for that. Same area, just looking at it from the northeast, looking towards the southwest there. This is would be the waiting area. This would be the main building. This would be the overflow parking area here. This just shows the front of the building. This garage door would be moved if plans progress and she gets the approval to go ahead with that. That would be removed. The main access would be, might be a door here, but another one right here. This is just looking in from the walk-in door towards the west, the way it is right now. This is, I believe, a bathroom area right there. This is just looking towards the east end of the building. This is where that garage door is. This is where she has existing bathrooms and different things that would be, this might be remodeled into a lounge or bar area there where that would be served. Bathrooms here towards the west end would be maybe her kitchen and food prep area. This is the building to the north that would be converted into a waiting area that they would put a link between them. So that's all that I have, and the applicant is here this evening. So.
Thank you, Richard. Would the applicant please step forward and clearly state your name into the mic?
Good evening. My name's Teresa Holloman.
Do you have anything to add to Richard's report?
Do I what?
Do you have anything to add to Richard's report?
The only thing I would say is, like, he mentioned a link between the two buildings. And I'm not really thinking about connecting the buildings, but I just want to put a door in the back end of the building and then a door right across from it into the other building. Just so they're not going to be connected. It's just so they have a quick way to get from one building to the other. What else was there? That front where his car is parked right there, so there's an overhead door right there. So the idea would be to remove that overhead door, and then on the southwest end, there's another one, and that one would also be removed, and the contractor that I've been talking to we'd like to design like a stone archway and then double doors. And we'd also build out on that main and do like a circle, I'd do a circle drive there so that a limousine or a shuttle or a vehicle, whatever, if it's raining, it's nice when the bride, if it's for a wedding, or even other parties, I suppose, if there's a way they can get out of the vehicle and not get rained on. So we'd have, I don't remember how many feet he said he'd bring it out, but I think he said like 20 feet or maybe 28 might have been what he was talking about, but it will be beautiful. I've owned the property for 6 years now, and I've already added, not on this part, but on the other side, the south side, I've got apple trees, pear trees, peach and plum, cherries. I've put in cement driveways. I've brought in really nice curbing and rock. I don't know if any of you have ever driven out that way, but even the fencing, I've fenced the entire property in now. Just trying to beautify it. And the reason I'm kind of switching gears, or would like to, is because retail has just been a struggle ever since COVID. It's just, and that's actually why I originally requested the conditional use in the first place, to move my store from Brookings out there, just trying to hang on. And retail just has not bounced back. It's just difficult. So I was trying to speak to people in the community and try to get ideas, because it's just me that lives out there, just by myself with my chickens and my dogs and cats. And I don't want those buildings. They're beautiful buildings, and I don't want them sitting there not being used. So I was trying to think of what would be a great service, what would help the community. And when I had the idea of an event center or that type of venue, I literally have 7 brides-to-be right now who they want to schedule something. And one of them canceled her wedding that she had scheduled for this August. And I told her, I said, I might not be able to do it. And she goes, I don't care, I'm canceling, because if I have any chance. So I know there's a need there, because a lot of the brides are going to Sioux Falls, they're going to Watertown, they're going to other places. So it's taken business away from our area, I think. Because when you have an event, you've got caterers, decorators, florists, planners, videographers, photographers. There's a lot of people that, you're bringing business to them. Plus, when there's a wedding or some kind of event like that, many times people will come and spend the weekend. So now we're bringing business to our hotels, and people fill their cars with fuel, and they go out to eat, and they look for entertainment. So I just feel like it would be a good addition to the community in that area. And I would follow any kind of permits that I would need, anything that would be required. I've also in the past owned, I don't know if any of you remember JoJo's Candy Arcade here in Brookings, but I had a little cafe there, so I've been through the whole food service certification, everything. I'm very familiar with the health department regarding that. So I would be very excited if this is something that you guys would allow me to do, and I feel like it would be a great retirement plan for me, because I've been an independent contractor my whole life. I don't have a 401k. I don't have anything other than residual income from a business that I currently own. So this would be another way for me to make my property profitable for me and for the community. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other questions from members of the board at this time? You can go back to your seat for a second then. Seeing no questions from the board at this time, I'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing none, we'll now close the public hearing and move back to the board for additional comments or questions.
I just kind of got a question. I know it just, there's other event centers in the county, but I know like when we asked about, seeing if this would fit into that, the chapter 5.24, that talked about veterinary practices and welding shops and professional services. Would this be kind of a professional service or is there other I don't know, what do you want to call it, classifications?
It's kind of a gray area, kind of leaves it up to the, I may ask Luke for his interpretation there, but it's be up to the board if you think this use would not be a, go against the other uses or that are out there already with the other agricultural uses. You got the elevator to the north.
Yeah, I was trying to,
If it would be compatible with the other uses on there, would the traffic or, traffic and things like that affect it?
is there what is the specific language in the ordinance? I was trying to pull that ordinance up here quickly. Do you have that handy, Richard?
Yep.
Because I want to make sure and say it correctly. Here's the truth. It's not a personal service. Event center is not a personal service. It is typically considered like a specific banquet facility. It's usually allowed under banquet facility, bar, tavern, used to be known as dance hall and things like that. That's not to say it's not there, but nonetheless, basically what you're doing is you're making the determination that this use is not incompatible with other agricultural uses in the area, if I remember correctly, and I'll get that language here in just a second. So in order to say yes, you're going to have to go along that lines. I will say that this fits much better within your ordinance than the existing use of operating a children's boutique. This matches much better to your ordinance than that does. The other thing that I would note, though, is for my own, if you're asking my own input on this as well, if you are to allow this, I do recommend that it be something that has a time limit on it and then to be able to be renewed. But do not do a normal one. 1 year isn't going to work for her because she's got to be booked out a while. I'd say a minimum of 2, probably 3 years, and allow her to come back inside of a year and a half. Right around a year and a half. See how the summer goes or the following, maybe half of the summer goes, something like that. My own recommendation on that, if you're going to say yeah, maybe depending on comments you've received, you may not have much to lose there.
Sean, can you turn the camera on here at the commission at the front desk? The monitor is rebooting or thinking here. I cannot turn it on. Here is what it says for the wording of the home occupation. Comes down to here, says the ones that are there. Then it goes on to the next page. Professional service and others which in the opinion of the Board of Adjustment would not conflict with adjoining land uses.
So quite clearly what you did in the previous case was that it was the board's finding that the use wouldn't conflict with the adjoining land uses. So in saying yes, you would be attesting that this use will not conflict with adjoining land uses. If you don't feel that way, then you know where you probably have to vote.
How did we hand the application for that Bennett barn?
That was an extended home business also, but that was underneath the old ordinance where we could add things like that if the board felt it was. Wasn't quite as specific, or language wasn't as specific what it is like it is here in the new ordinance. So if you think extended home occupations are supposed to be geared towards agriculture, if you don't think this is going to be conflicting with the agriculture and farming and the community around there, then you see it's fine, then you can vote to approve it. If we think there is going to be a conflict on there, you can deny it.
Any additional comments or questions from members of the board?
One question I have is, have you started conversations with the Trenton Township?
Would you please step back up to the mic?
Yes, I actually spoke to them when I first had the idea just to see what their thoughts might be. Even yesterday, I spoke to Todd Nelson, and he said he doesn't have a problem with it at all. Terry Pritchard said the same thing. They liked the recommendation. I don't know if it was someone here that made it, but they felt that I needed to have a road agreement with them, just so that I'm not asking anything further from them than what other people are getting. And I said that's completely fine, so we're actually working on drafting something up.
The other question I have is, have you talked to Ag Works, your neighbor to the north and west, and gotten feedback from them as well?
Yes, they thought it was a great idea. They even wanted to book their Christmas party, they thought. So, and also, I mean, like the parking, I don't know how many cars, but that was something I actually had a discussion with. I don't have anything in writing, of course. It was just a conversation. But they also thought it wouldn't be, if I needed overflow parking, they actually offered their little corner that's adjacent to my land. I don't think we'll need that space, but it was kind of nice to know.
And any other feedback from any other neighbors? Looks like there was a neighbor down the road, across the road.
All of them are excited. They think it would be a great thing. And just the way the property is going to look, it's not going to look like a Morton building. It's going to look like an Italian villa. I'm going to have really nice water fountains, lots of beautiful landscaping, and the outside patio, you know, he had mentioned the concrete. There'll be pergolas out there, so there's sitting area out there. So, of course, they can't smoke in the building, but, you know, people got to smoke, so they can go outside. And, you know, it'll be a very elegant place, and I'm going to be pretty strict with like the alcohol. That's why I'm limiting to wine and beer. And that's also why I want to do valet parking, because then we can kind of control, you know, because people try to sneak stuff in, and they might still, but I'll also have security. And, you know, my neighbors are super nice, and not a single person I've spoken to has had any kind of negative concerns. Even Kurt Friedrich, he thought it was a great idea. So, thank you.
Are there any other additional comments or questions from members of the board?
Mr. Chair, we did receive comment from the township. I can show that up to you if you'd like, but yeah, they would like to get a dialogue started with the applicant and on a road use agreement and have her contact them to get things in place, which it sounds like she is in the process of doing, so. And that's.
Thank you, Richard. Is there any other comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing none, Richard, would you read the findings of facts? Yep, I did, didn't I? Yep. Yeah, we got down to this part already.
All right. Yes, I will go over the findings of facts.
First one tonight.
Yes, I'll read this in its entirety, then you can add or correct or change as you see fit as we go along or at the end. Brookings County Zoning Conditional Use Permit 2025 CU 005, an application for a conditional use permit having been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as a Board of Adjustment, a copy of the application being attached here too. Such application be made by Teresa Holloman regarding the following real property. The south half of the northeast 1/4, except the west 2,000 feet of Section 2, Township 109 North, Range 49 West, Trenton Township, located at 21437 477th Avenue, Aurora, South Dakota, 57002. After due notice, a public hearing having been held on the application on this 5th day of June, 2025. Number one, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment hereby finding that it is empowered to grant such a conditional use on the following sections of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. Article 4, District Requirements, Chapter 4.01, A, Agricultural Land District, Section 4.0104, Conditional Use Number 9, Extended Home Occupation. And further finding that the granting of the conditional use will not adversely affect the public interest. Number 2, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds and certifies that the following specific rules governing the conditional use requests have been complied with. None stated. Number 3, Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds that satisfactory provisions and arrangements have been made concerning the following where applicable. A, entrance and exits to the property and proposed structures therein with particular reference to automotive, pedestrian safety, convenience, traffic flow, control, and access in case of fire or catastrophe. Will use existing driveway off 477th Avenue, which is a Trenton Township gravel road. The driveway and parking lot are concrete and paved. B, off-street parking and loading areas were required with particular attention to the items in A above and the economic, noise, glare, or other effects of the conditional use on adjoining properties and the properties generally in the district. No on-street parking allowed, only use designated parking areas as noted on the site plan. C, utilities and refuge and service areas with reference to locations, availability, and compatibility. Dumpster service required for garbage disposal. D, screening and buffering, type, dimensions, and character, none stated. Signs, if any, to the proposed exterior lighting with reference to glare, traffic safety, economic effect, and compatibility in harmony with the properties in the district. 32 square feet sign allowed. F, required yards and other open spaces, none stated. G, general compatibility with adjacent properties and other properties in the district. Comprehensive plan met for the agricultural district. H, roads providing access to the property are adequate to meet the transportation demands of the proposed conditional use. The Board of Adjustment may require the applicant to enter into a written contract with any affected land townships or other government unit regarding the upgrading and continued maintenance of any roads used for the conditional use request prior to the issuance of a conditional use. 477th Avenue is a Trenton Township road. Road agreement with Trenton Township to be on file as soon as possible and before the first event is to be held. Road agreement to be reviewed yearly by both parties.
Richard, do you want to change that to, road agreement with Trenton Township needs to be on file before the permit is issued?
The conditional use permit, this is it?
That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
Or is there another date you want on there? 6 months, that's why I put on there prior to the first event, so we'll put it on our calendar just to keep checking on her with things. If it's not there, we'll.
Thinking of last month's with Hammock's deal, we issued their permit contingent on them having their road agreement in place.
Oh, yeah, we can do the same thing here.
Yeah.
I'll say that it's effectively the same thing. If they don't have a road agreement in place, she doesn't get to have an event. So it's effectively the same as, it's 601. It's the same as you handled with Hammock. I guess if you're looking for equal treatment, it's essentially the same thing.
Okay.
All right.
Aye.
Okay. Aye. Any required notifications, law enforcement or fire department, local fire department to review capacity and fire safety requirements. J, any safety inspections required, inspections as required for any building permits for remodeling or additions of existing or new buildings, any inspections required for the South Dakota Department of Health or South Dakota Department of Revenue for licensing requirements. Anything else we need to add on for that particular one, Luke, that you can think of, or is that adequate there for those?
For letter I?
Yes.
That was.
No, excuse me, J.
For J, inspection required for building. I would say that's right. Letter I and J were the two that I was hoping that you would have something like that in there. I think you've got to have them double checked that way.
Yep. Department of Health would be for the food service, and Department of Revenue would be for the alcohol and wine license. So.
Correct.
Okay, on to number 4. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this conditional use upon the following additional special conditions or safeguards. Number 1, retail tax license. Number 2, copy of license from Brookings County or any South Dakota state agency for food service or beer or wine licensing. Number 3, business hours vary depending on the events are scheduled. Number 4, home extended business as an event center as determined by the board will not be in conflict with adjoining land uses. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment needs a majority vote approval of the members presented to grant the above petitioner a conditional use permit for the above described real property as follows. Conditional use number 9, home extended occupation as an event center with the capacity for for 2 to 99 guests at any one time. This conditional use permit is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all recommendations and requirements in 3 and 4 above, and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. The Brookings County zoning director, if approved, is authorized to issue and require the building permits for construction consistent with the requirements of this conditional use permit. If this conditional use permit is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated this 3rd day of June, 2025.
How would we put in a time limit in the findings of facts there, Luke?
It would be the extra conditions that are in there. Just make a motion to amend. Motion to amend the main motion by adding a condition that this permit be valid for 3 years and able to be renewed more than 1 year from today.
Anybody like to make a motion like that?
I'll make that motion that, how he said it. No.
Permit is valid for 3 years.
Yeah.
Let's say this permit
Need a second on that.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Second on, do we have to vote on that?
Yes.
Second by Vanderwall, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion amended, there we go.
That's why.
I'll have to go home and read my Robert's Rules of Order book. Slacking tonight. Tara quit, I can't have anybody to call anymore.
And Mr. Chair, may I make one point of clarification on a question you asked me right away about the ability to issue the permit? What it really gets to is the ability, there's a finding in your ordinance that asks, is the board empowered to issue this permit? You're only empowered to issue a permit that is listed in the ordinance and meets the conditions in the ordinance, and that's why that question was asked as far as that goes. So basically, what you're saying by saying that it's not conflicting with adjoining uses is that if you're saying no, then you're saying that it's going to conflict, and therefore we're not even empowered to make this. We can't even issue this permit. If you say it's not going to conflict, well, then you're at conditions. That's really all you're here for at that point. So that's really what the main question is, it sounds to me, in front of the board. And that's it. And if you do either way, I'm here if there's ever a point you want to specifically list this sort of a thing in the ordinance, because let's face it, it's a bit of a different animal and there's different conditions either way.
Well, I kind of think having number 5 on there states that we don't know if this works, let's try it. By having that automatic expiration in there.
Agreed.
Is that it? You completed that, right? Reading?
Yep. I'm just gonna add.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as the findings of the facts are followed, so I concur with the findings of the facts.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. Richard, would you call the vote?
Jensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderwall.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Kyle Vanderwall.
Aye.
Mark Jornby.
Yes.
Justin D. Groot.
Yep.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes. So we will send you your signed copies and a letter in the mail saying it was approved. So as soon as you get your other licenses and/or the road agreement, bring those into the office and we'll make copies of them. So, thank you.
Do those items
Pardon me?
Do those items need to be notarized?
No.
Moving on, department reports.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce Commissioner Doug Post and Dave Miller. They're our newest county commissioners, and they haven't visited us before that I can remember, and we'd like to welcome them. And do either one of you gentlemen want to say something? I guess not.
Many
but,
words.
Welcome, Commissioner. And on my report, we are doing the pre-disaster mitigation plan that this board looked at before. County Commission went ahead and approved it for the county, and now we're in the process of going to the small towns and getting the approval on it. And the burn ban was rescinded today. We do want you to still use caution when burning because not everything is totally green yet. And the CO2 pipeline ordinance, we had a half a meeting today. We'll have another meeting in July, and maybe in July, or might be August, before Commissioner Jensen can give you an update from the zoning side of the house. But we're still plugging away on the CO2 pipeline ordinance. And Richard, do you have anything additional?
Nope. Just the floodplain has been approved, and we're starting to get a few questions now from the landowners or property owners that were put into the floodplains. We've had a few people those call, but otherwise things are plugging away. There will possibly be another joint meeting in July. As of now, if things go through, a strong possibility for that to be another joint city-county planning meeting.
And I'd also like to let Luke speak, if you don't mind, with your permission, Chair.
We have to.
I don't show up very often. I should probably say something. The only thing I was going to say is that you adopted your floodplain ordinance infamously, as you're aware, updated it. Obviously, you're getting phone calls on that updated. From a standpoint for reference, your neighbors to the southeast, Moody County, they've adopted their have updated their. They're in the process of updating theirs, and for what it's worth, they've got some more specific requirements. There are some property owners that are going to be in a case where they have to do what's called a no-build or a no-rise study of full-blown engineering analysis before they do any construction. Bottom line is, your county is fortunate to not have those same things going along the Big Sioux River. So, yay us.
Thank you, Luke. Anything else?
No, sir, that's the end of our reports.
Any need for an executive session?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Vanderwall, second. Second by Jensen, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, gentlemen.